All right, guys, week 10 is upon us. This is the starts and sits episode here. Optimal starts, full preview here, going over all the matchups, the spreads, and telling you who to start and sit for NFL week 10. Of course, and fantasy football news and notes as well with the great and powerful Jimmy Maverick. What's going on, Jim?
Hey, good morning, counselor. I'm doing great. It's just a beautiful day in New Mexico, man. We're having beautiful weather out here. It's wonderful.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, isn't it? Soon enough.
Well, it's been unseasonably warm, so we're getting into the high 60s, low 70s every day. It's perfect. It's like perfect weather. So I can't complain at all.
Enjoy it while it lasts, man. Enjoy
Exactly.
it while it lasts. It's going to get cold.
Yeah, because it's not going to be here next week, according to the weather.
Especially here in the Northeast, we got to enjoy it while it lasts, because once it gets cold, we're cold till like March, which is ridiculous. And nobody,
Right.
I hate the cold, but I like snow just for Christmas time, and that's it. Just for that 1 week during like Christmas Eve to like New Year's Eve. That's it. That's the only time I like snow.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the news and notes here. Then we're going to go through all the matchups, talk about the spreads, talk about the starts and sits, get you guys fully ready. I've got timestamps here below on YouTube. You could just fast forward to the matchup that you want, or you can enjoy the whole show in the comfort of your car, your home, your bathroom, your toilet, your shower, or wherever you feel comfortable listening to us. So feel free to jump to those particular matchups to listen to the starts and sits there. I've linked it below. All right, news and notes here. Carson Wentz to the Rams. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I can't believe the guy's still in the league, you know?
Super Bowl, man. Super Bowl. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, man. Carson Wentz had a good year. I think it was like 2016 or 17. Then he always got hurt. Then he got banged up. And I remember when he got that $128 million deal years ago, and I was like, dude, the guy's not worth it. And Eagles fans were coming at me hard. They're like, how could you say that about Carson? He's great. He's our new franchise guy. I'm like, dude, he sucks. Sure enough, he sucked over the past couple years, more than a couple years now, actually.
Yeah, it's not a great situation. That doesn't speak well for what's going on with Stafford. And we saw that offense score, 3 points this past week. So, they're out on bye this week. But when they come back, man, I mean, shoot, are you even going to want to start Kupp or Puka? I mean, they can't do anything.
Right.
Higbee has completely disappeared off that offense. Their running back is still injured. I believe he's on IR right now. So not a good situation in LA.
Yeah. Anything else in the news and notes here that we want to talk about?
Will Levis got named the starter for the Titans,
right.
So that's exciting. Congratulations to him. I think that's great. He's done pretty well in his 2 games, so I think that's good to see, and nice to see they're moving away from Tannehill, because Tannehill, he can't do it. So
yeah, Levis had that good game in his debut. Hopefully that's an indication of what he could do moving forward. I think he's a good quarterback. We'll see if he becomes great. Again, that's up to him and on his shoulders. He's got the weapons, he's got the opportunity to really shine. We'll see how that goes here. My old friend, not that it really matters, really, but I'm looking to get him on the Joe Camo Show. By the way, I started a new talk show, Joe Camo Show. Make sure you guys go check that out at Joe Camo, KHAMOU show. I've also linked it below here. I'm looking to get Martavis Bryant on the show. He's now signing with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, he went to the CFL for a bit. Now he's with the Cowboys. And if in regards to fantasy, probably not going to be relevant at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything out of him. One other piece of news that we talked about on the other day was, do you start? Who's Kyler? I'm sorry. Who is Arizona playing against this week? Darn, I just drew a blank on who they're playing.
Atlanta.
They're playing the Falcons. I was like, the Falcons defense would be a good option this week, but it looks like Kyler is going to play this week. Okay. So I would back off of that. Would not start the Atlanta Falcons defense.
I don't know. I probably still would, because we don't know what Kyler can do. I mean, he's just being activated off IR. Maybe he comes back and craps the bed. I mean, you never know.
He could, but he's a good quarterback. I mean, he's mobile. He's a good quarterback for fantasy. I actually have him in a couple of my in a couple of my best ball leagues, and so it'd be nice to have him in there to get some points. So
yeah. Other than that, nothing else in the news really jumping out at me in particular.
Yeah, nothing really.
Before we get into this, though, we're going to start with all the matchups here, point spread, everything like that. Go to manscaped.com, guys. Grab the Lawnmower 5.0. They've got also other amazing products here, underwear, body buffer here. In my hand, Jim, have you tried the underwear yet, Jim? They're very,
I have not tried it. I've
Well,
not.
they're very comfortable, Jim. They're comfortable around the balls. They're soft, and it's great. And the body buffer is what I use. They've got cologne, but they got the new Lawnmower 5.0, which again's got a foil trimmer. We could trim your arm hair, your chest hair, everything. And then they've got the skin safe technology. It's a dual head. So get the Lawnmower 5.0 at manscaped.com. Treat yourself to anything on the site. Use code SHOWERLION20 to save 20%. All right, let's go on with the matchups here. Thursday night here, we got Carolina at Chicago. In regards to this matchup, Jim, I mean, Bryce Young does have an easy matchup versus position, but you should have a safer quarterback to start. What do you think in regards to starts and sits here?
Yeah, this is going to be a low scoring game, man. I mean, Fields is still out. No word on when he's going to be back. Bryce Young has not been great this year. They got one victory so far through 9 weeks. So
Yep.
I would not expect a lot out of here. I know that Thielen has also fallen off considerably from his hot start. That's not surprising. Dude's like 33. It would be very hard for him to maintain that level of production he was getting earlier in the year. Who do you even want to play? I heard that it looks like Khalil Herbert's going to be back in that backfield, so you're back to 3 guys back there. Maybe DJ Moore. DJ Moore's like the only player I think I would start on either of these teams right now, just because I don't think there's that much there for fantasy.
No, not really. I do have Carolina listed as favorable matchup across the board. If you have any Carolina players, as long as they're their starters, favorable matchups here. Again, for a Thursday nighter, I don't know what they're thinking when they're planning this. I guess they expected it to be a better matchup than advertised, thinking that this rookie quarterback or whatever. I don't know, man. It's not going to be a match I'll be watching. I mean, there's no excitement to watch a 1-7 team play a 2-7 team on Thursday. Like, there's no desire to watch this. I don't know, man. It's just weird program. I guess they don't know how bad a team is going to do early in the season, but this is not good. Like, I don't want to watch this.
Right. I think they probably had higher hopes for both these teams when they scheduled this thing back in August or July.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No desire there. Now, moving on to Sunday, this is going to be an international game back in Germany. We've got Indianapolis at New England here. New England, we've got Indy as a 2-point favorite, not even on the road, but they're both teams are on the road here. What do you think of this matchup here? Jonathan Taylor obviously must start. Now you say, well, Joe, your obvious ones should be started. Yes, we're in week 10. You should know who your starters are. We're just telling you if there's an optimal matchup or not here. So, looking at this, I mean, I've got Taylor, I got to start him no matter what. I don't care how tough the matchup is. I've got him listed as a must start. Pittman, I've got Pittman. Where is he? Yeah, I got Pittman listed as a tougher matchup versus, or let me see here.
Yeah, I wouldn't bench him, though.
Easy
Pittman's been
matchup.
great this year. He's been
No,
great value for where you got him in the drafts. So.
Sorry, it's a favorable matchup. Thanks for covering. Favorable matchup for Pittman this week as well.
Oh, okay.
On paper.
Yeah, definitely start him. Yeah, for sure. But again, this is an international game. I find that offenses tend to be real sleepy. There's just there's a lot of a time lag and everything like that. So, look at the game last week, that low scoring game between Miami and Kansas City. I mean, talk about two optimal offenses for some explosive plays, and there was nothing. And these are not two good explosive offenses. So, you go with your studs. It was nice to see Ramadre get some more work last week on the Patriots side, but I can't think of anyone else I really want to start on that team. I think the New England defense is probably a good option this week. And as far as the Colts go, yeah, it's like Taylor and Pittman, and that's it. Maybe Minshew if you need a QB too.
I got Mac Jones listed as an optimal matchup as well. If you're playing DFS or anything like that, on paper, good matchup for Mac Jones as well.
Yeah, but who's he going to throw to? Juju?
I don't know.
What was that other guy? That guy that just showed up last week that everybody, DeMarco Douglas, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, desperate for people that are desperate, need a quarterback, usually 2 quarterback leagues. They need somebody. Just telling you, he's got a favorable matchup. I mean, yeah, DeMario Douglas is an option there as well, and Juju. I mean, it's really thin and trim there at.
I mean, maybe as a flex, but only if you're really desperate.
That's it. All right, moving on to the 1:00 games here, Jim. 1:00. We got Green Bay at Pittsburgh here. Should we be excited about this game? 3-5 versus 5-3. I'm surprised.
Oh God, no. I mean, it's like these terrible offenses. I mean, it's like, geez, both these offenses are such turds this year. And
5-3 though. 5-3 Steelers. They're winning.
they're getting it through low scoring games. You know, they're not. There's no explosiveness. I mean, Deontay looks great coming back from his injury. He looks fantastic. But shoot, I mean, I don't want to start Pickens.
He's
I don't. I
bitter.
don't want to. What's that?
He's bitter. I think he's disgruntled. I think he wants out of there. He's one of those diva guys, like, throw me the ball. When he doesn't get it, he complains. He's one of those guys.
Yeah, because like the past 2 weeks, he's gotten like 3 targets. I mean, it's really bad. So you can't start him anymore. I mean, Najee's okay. The other running back there, I guess they're both kind of okay to start if you need to, which a lot of times you do. But on a Green Bay side, Aaron Jones, yes, for sure. But I don't want to start anybody else on the Packers because you don't know who is the lead receiver.
We
There
don't
is
know.
no lead receiver. It's just like a bunch of guys getting 5 or 6 targets, and you can't play that. So, I don't want to start anybody on Green Bay. I think the Pittsburgh defense is probably a good start this week, though. So
Yeah,
they'll
on
probably get some
paper,
points.
Romeo Dobbs, easy matchup versus position. But again, you don't know who's going to get the volume, just so you know. But on paper, easy matchup. I got Deontay Johnson listed as a tougher matchup versus position. But how do you sit him when he's pretty much solidified kind of as the wide receiver one there? Yeah, I mean, who is it? Who's the wide receiver one in Green Bay? Nobody knows. You could ask
Yeah,
any.
and I think Watson's injured right now, so that's part of the reason why he hasn't been very good. But he's been a complete
He's
dud this
always
year.
hurt.
So
He's always hurt. He's useless.
yes,
That guy sucks.
yeah,
I'm never
he's
drafted.
he he's only injured on days that end in a Y. So there you go.
Wait, hold on a sec. Day, Thursday. Okay, I get it now. Every day. Even every day ends with a Y. Okay, so all right. So yeah, in regards to this matchup, I got Pittsburgh could easily win this at home. Not easily, but
I think
that's
they
why.
should. I think they're going to win, but it's going to be like 16 to 12 or something like that. It's going to be ridiculously low score. So not excited.
Next matchup here, Saints on the road here, -2.5 at Minnesota. I think your Olave guy got a touchdown last week. You should be
Yeah,
happy.
that's number 2 this year. Very, very disappointing. I was glad to see they got it, but still, I was getting a lot more out of Olave. It hasn't occurred, but he is getting all the volume. So how can you sit that? You can't sit him. But the offense, the New Orleans offense, is kind of exciting right now. You've got Taysom Hill being very dynamic. He is still a super risky start if you start him as your tight end
Yeah,
because he could get you nothing, or he could get you like 3 touchdowns. I mean,
hit or miss.
yeah, he is a total hit or miss player. That's why I like him for best ball and not for season long, because in best ball it'll just automatically put him into your starting slot when he has his big games. But Kamara's looking great, so you could start Kamara. And
Madison,
particularly, go ahead.
Madison got a good week last week. I've got both Madison and Kamara as tough matchups versus position against the rush. Obviously, Kamara, you're probably not going to see Madison based on what we saw last week. Him getting some volume, getting some receptions.
Cam Akers is out for the season now, so there's no more competition. It's all Madison. So
Yeah, for sure. Cam Akers, another guy that just can't stay healthy. Absolutely useless, man.
well, I think his career is done at this point. It was, he suffered that Achilles injury a couple of years ago, and he's come back from that, but he injured the other Achilles, and so I don't think he's going to be able to come back from that. I think his career is done,
For
which
sure.
is too bad. He was never really able to do anything in his career, but. Other players on Minnesota, Hawkinson is great.
Addison.
Addison is great. I think KJ Osborne is getting enough volume that you want to start him.
KJ got banged up. He might be on. Is he on concussion protocol? I gotta take a look. He was really
Oh,
banged up last week, and they carted. I don't know if you saw that they carted him off. He's okay.
okay.
I was
Okay. I
watching
wasn't.
the game.
I wasn't aware that he was on concussion protocol. If he is, then obviously he's not going to play.
Yeah,
So,
just take a look
uh,
at Osborne. I think it was him that got. I was watching when you watch 30 games and all this stuff is happening fast. I think
right.
he got pulled off on a cart. I didn't follow up on the injury. The thing that was good is that he sat up and he was when he walked out. It's not like he was a neck thing on a neck
Right.
brace on him. I think
Yeah.
he's gonna be okay. But yeah, just be careful. Take a look at the injuries prior anyway. Do a starts and sits show Saturday morning as well when we talk about the must starts. So I'm going to talk about the latest news there. So just watch that. And in regards to this one, man, I mean it's literally another coin toss, that type of situation. You got Saints 5-4 versus Vikings 5-4. NFC teams. I mean, Vikings at home, you would think that they would have the advantage here, but they don't, unfortunately. So maybe this spread looks good if you want to take the points here on the Vikings, because I think this is a coin toss. I guess they're betting, Vegas is betting on Derek Carr over Joshua Dobbs, really.
Yeah, and Dobbs was outstanding last week, coming off the bench and getting
Yeah,
the win. I mean, absolutely amazing. So we'll see if he continues to perform well. He actually has been a pretty good quarterback this year. So
yeah,
it's too bad that nobody wants to keep him.
yeah.
Yeah, I think this is his fifth team or something in the past 2 seasons. So, but the guy's pretty good. Let him play. So
Houston at Cincy. We're gonna see here now. This is crazy because after such a good week with Strout, like he's a dog now on the road. Tank Dell getting going. Dell's definitely a start here. Nico Collins as well. Again, a bit of a wide receiver roulette there, but Dell seems to be the guy. And at this point, are we? If Damian Pierce does play, I think he was out with an ankle. He's been absolutely useless. They don't seem like they're going to the run much anyway. At this point, I would definitely bench him. If you got a better option, I'd go with that. Cincy, obviously, Jamar Chase, Mixon, and Burrow. What do you think of this match? Am I missing anything? Stroh's definitely a start after last week.
I I love everything about this matchup. This should be exciting. Hopefully, it's another shootout.
Yeah,
Stroud is awesome in those shootouts. I was just really enjoyed watching him play last week, and it
yeah,
appears that Burrow totally healthy, back to full form, which is awesome for that offense. I mean, I think T. Higgins, even though he's been boom bust, you got to start him too. But I'd start everybody I can start. I would start on these two teams, just because it's just such an exciting matchup. And it looks like it's going to be high scoring. The over under right now is 48.5. So I'm excited to see it, man. I love both these teams and want to see
yeah.
Houston continue to do well.
Definitely. Cleveland at Baltimore. Yeah, I mean, Ford is definitely a start here. What else is going on here with the quarterback position? Is Watson going to be back? I think should be back.
He is. Yeah, he played last week,
All
so
right,
he's
so he's,
fine.
he's good to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah,
Uh,
I actually have to start him in one of my leagues because Mahomes is on bye. So yeah, but this is a AFC Central. It's going to be a low scoring game. I think both these defenses are good to start. I would not expect a lot out of the offenses, but you got to start the stars. Ford and Amari Cooper. Yes, uh, Watson. If you really need a quarterback this week, go ahead and start him. On the other side, I think Lamar Jackson. That
Keaton,
backfield is such a mess.
Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell was the guy that averaged 15.3 yards per carry last week, one touchdown, but he does have a tougher matchup on paper versus position. I just want to make a note. So if you picked up Keaton Mitchell off the waiver, understand he's still in a committee, understand he's still in a committee with the quarterback likes to run as well, and he's got a tougher matchup versus position. So temper expectations for Keaton Mitchell. That being said, anything can happen, but he does have a tougher matchup.
Yeah, and don't forget, there's Gus Edwards who got the
Yeah,
touchdowns last week, and then there's Justice Hill who got most of the volume last week. Most of the volume went to Justice, so it's a real mess. I don't think I could start Keaton Mitchell until I see him with some more volume. Again,
yeah.
he only got like 10 touches last week. That's not enough to want to start him, despite that incredible production he had. I would just keep him on the bench for this week, especially in what's probably going to be a very low scoring game. And as far as the Baltimore receivers go, geez, I don't want to start any of them. I want to bench Flowers right now just because he's not doing anything. He's not getting any volume at all for some reason. I don't know why they've gone away from him. But yeah, just don't expect much from either of these offenses this week. It's going to be pretty bad. So
Moving on to Tennessee at Tampa Bay. Now, the biggest problem is just volume. Players are just not getting the volume that you want. And I don't know whether it's a whole thing across the league or whether it's all these props betting sites, but I did do a show, Jim. It's coming out today. I'm going to be releasing it Make sure you guys go follow Joe Camosho on The Fix Is In. Is the NFL fixed? Are sports rigged? I bring in an expert who's wrote the book on it, The Fix Is In, multiple books, who's been studying this for 15 years to talk about this. So make sure you guys do subscribe to Joe Camosho and watch that episode. I'll probably link it below here as well. Is the NFL fixed? We talk about it because, again, there's so many committees, players that are being drafted in the first round not being played, so much weird stuff. We go down that rabbit hole, Jim. Definitely you should watch it as well. I'm going to send you the link as soon as the episode gets edited and out today. I'm excited about this one. It's a really good one. Tennessee at Tampa Bay here, Jim. -1.5 is Tampa Bay here. Tennessee, I mean, Levis, I would say 2 quarterback league. I would definitely start Levis. I don't care. You got that upside there. Baker Mayfield, obviously. I mean, if you don't have another quarterback option, Rashad White's been pretty solid. Had a good week last week. Derrick Henry, you can't sit him. Evans, Hopkins. Again, could be due for a big week again. You never know, right?
Yeah, and obviously they had a pretty good connection 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I think certainly Hopkins' value is revitalized with Levis in there because Levis likes to throw the ball deep. So I think that that's great. Also, on Tampa Bay side, you got Godwin, you got to start him, and hey, Cade Otton, man, 3 weeks in a row he's been over
Yeah.
six targets a game. Last week he got the multiple touchdowns. I'd be cool with starting him again, man. I think he's going to be a good option this week. But on Tennessee's side, it's just Henry, just Hopkins, and maybe Levis as a QB2.
Temper
So
your expectations on Auden coming off a hot week, but also he does have a tougher matchup versus position. Just understand that, okay? I got
okay.
him listed at that. Just I know you're going to start him, Jim. I know you're excited about your Kate Auden, but he does have a tough matchup versus position. So if he doesn't do well, understand that that's probably the reason why. Because again,
Yeah, I mean, in a bunch of leagues, I have Tyler Higbee and Kate Otten as my tight ends, and so it's like I'm not playing Higbee anymore. So
yeah,
it's
he's been
like
putting up
I
donuts.
guess I got to put Otten in there. But like I said, last week it paid off. Hopefully, he continues to get the volume. It's really nice to see him getting the level of volume that he's getting right now.
All right, San Fran -3 favorite at Jacksonville here. Obviously, you got to start Christian McCaffrey, the hottest guy in fantasy. Again, I take ownership on this one. What can I do, man? I mean, the guy couldn't stay healthy for 2 years in a row. Coming off pinnacle year last year, continues to get fed, and this comes down to volume, right? Like we saw with Jameer Gibbs being benched for Montgomery. By the way, we got to talk about that here. That's the next matchup.
Yeah, that's the next matchup. Yeah.
I'll look at that in a second, but it shows you the volume really is king. You just give the guy the volume, you believe in your running back, and you let him run. As soon as you take off a running back off the field after a run, they lose momentum. And the announcers were talking about it with Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's washed up. He should have known going in that Brees Hall is the alpha in that backfield. And they were saying the announcers like, yeah, as soon as you take Dalvin Cook, he's losing momentum. He's been frustrated, dude. Like, what do you expect? You got Brees Hall. Brees Hall should be on the field all the time. Same thing here. San Fran. He's just on the field all the time with Christian McCaffrey. He's gonna thrive. Period. Right?
Yeah, obviously Elijah Mitchell is no threat in that backfield. Debo Samuel's also been out with an injury that also helps flow more targets towards McCaffrey. And I mean, gosh, man, he just looks so damn good every single play. And like I said, I wasn't out on CMC this year as much as you
Yeah,
were.
I know.
But I think, I mean, when it comes to these like guys that are in workhorse situations, you got to go with the workhorse situation. Same thing with Jacksonville with Etienne.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude has just been the workhorse, and both those guys, they both stayed healthy, and so they are getting the production and they are getting the points. I think they're the number one and number two running backs this year. These two guys, so
Yeah.
start them both.
Who are we starting though? Are we starting Christian Kirk? Or are we starting Ridley? This is the problem, right? Again,
Yeah,
another
that's the
wide receiver
problem.
roulette.
I've got a bunch of Ridley. Obviously, I'm putting him back in my lineup because I don't have any better options, and hopefully he gets the volume. But he's been real boom bust, so that's the issue there. I think Kirk is a fine, safe play, especially since their third wide receiver Zay Jones is still out. That guy hasn't played at all this year, except for like maybe 2 games.
Yeah.
So I think both those receivers are good. On San Francisco's side,
Ayuk.
Kittle, great. And Ayuk has been kind of invisible, hasn't done much. And San Francisco hasn't looked quite as invincible the past few weeks. They've got 3 losses in a row. And so they're looking vulnerable. And I think maybe Jacksonville could pull the upset here. I'd like to see that. That'd be cool.
And they're 6-2 versus 5-3. Jacksonville's got 6-2, so it's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting to see here. San Fran, the favorite on the road. Again, probably due for a win now. All right, let's talk about this. This is gonna be an interesting one here. Detroit -2.5 favorite at the Chargers. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. Just it's upsetting to see Herbert play the way that he has. Didn't throw for a lot of touchdowns last game. They absolutely hate Quentin Johnson. I want to vent on this, and I'm going to release right now. Josh Palmer was out. Mike Williams was out. They're still not throwing to Quentin Johnson. They literally hate this kid. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, he doesn't have it, man. He can't do it. I gave up on Quentin Johnson a long time ago. But as far as this game goes, this looks like a great offensive game, great fantasy game. The over-under is 48.5 points. The only negative is that the Detroit quarterback is playing an away game. He's never as good on away games as he is at home.
It's a favorable matchup on paper versus position. It is favorable.
Yeah,
You're right. On the
I
road.
think Goff will be fine, but you just don't expect a huge performance out of him because he doesn't do that on the road. But this is an exciting matchup. It looks like Montgomery's back this week. I'm fine with starting both Montgomery and Gibbs. I think they're both going to be heavily utilized in this game.
That's
But
what I want to talk about. At this point, Montgomery shouldn't see the field at all based on what we saw from Gibbs. Gibbs is the best running back in the game based on that game. He dominated, he crushed it. He was the player of the game. We shouldn't see any Montgomery, especially to start, because when we saw the season, Montgomery was coming out on the first snaps, right? RB1. At this point, I don't want to see any Montgomery. If I see Montgomery, I will lose it, Jim. That's the honest truth.
Well, I'm okay with seeing him because I've got him on several of my teams and I need him to play. So,
That's sorry.
yeah. I mean, like I said, I think it is going to be more of an even split this week. It had been Montgomery had been dominating the touches, but I think with what Gibbs showed, they got to give the ball more to Gibbs. So I think they're both going to get a good amount of volume, and they should both thrive in this game because the Chargers defense is terrible. They're going to score points. So I think it's going to be a good game for everybody. And Sam Laporta is going to be back, which is great. Amon Ra's back. That's great. Got both those guys back in my lineup. It should be good there. And then on the Chargers side, Herbert, Eckler, and Allen are the guys you want to start. I don't really trust anybody else.
Maybe Everett. Just Everett. That's Everett, Allen, Herbert, Eckler. That's it.
I'm not sure I would even start Everett. I don't think he got that much volume last week. But anyway, you start the three main guys. I think you'll be fine, and it should be a good game. I'm excited about that game. It should be good.
Okay, let's talk about this one. More frustration with Atlanta and Arizona. And that's not just me, because everybody had Bijan round one. I just had him first overall. That's the only difference between me and everybody else. Because he's a first round pick, top 7 or 8 overall. And he's the best running back in the game talent-wise. When you look at him physically, he's a human highlight reel when he touches the ball, but he's not getting the ball. That's the problem. I did read a quote here from that Arthur Smith guy who I despise more than any other coach. Coach. Yeah, thank you. I'm just so angry I can't even talk right now. There was a quote that said something along the line of like, he's better when he's away from the ball because he distracts. I can't remember the exact. Did you read that? Something about that quote?
Yeah, I saw that. Yes.
His impact away from the ball can open things up. Quote.
Yeah, that's not true because he's not even on the field. They take him off the field all the time. If they were running him as a decoy, they'd have him out there on every play, but they don't do that. And this is the guy, Arthur Smith is the guy that was the offensive coordinator and under the Tennessee Titans for Derrick Henry. And he has built his team to be like the Tennessee Titans offensively with a run-first offense. And yet somehow he's doing this crap with Algier and Cordarrelle Patterson and giving the ball to Jonnu Smith on a rushing play. He's being all cutesy and they keep losing games. They keep losing. And it's like, dude, figure it out. Play your talented players,
And Smith is not only a tight end, he's the backup tight end. And then you've got Algier, who's a 5th round pick. I mean, and you get stuffed at the goal line like 3-4 times, and you're not using your best running back. It just blows my mind. I think he's honestly doing it, just to piss off fans. I think he has something against fantasy people. I really believe this.
He's the next Bill Belichick, right? I
Yeah.
don't care about your fantasy team. It's like, well, screw you.
Yeah. That's all we care about. Anyways, in regards to this, I'm not sure if Drake London should be back. I think he was just a groin thing. He should be back. Obviously,
Yeah,
start.
hopefully he is, but monitor that for sure. And Pitts, I think, if you got him, you got to start him. I don't have him in any of my leagues, but
DeMarcado, if he plays, I know he was out last week. I don't know if he plays this week, but maybe a consideration if you're desperate at running back. But Arizona, I don't trust at all. Nobody from Arizona for me.
oh, really? I mean, because again, you've
Uh,
got uh, Marquise Brown, Kyler Murray probably
that's true.
back.
Yes, I almost kind of feel
And so
Tyler
that
come
should
back.
help the passing game. And then the tight end, why am I drawing a blank on his name right now? McBride.
Yeah.
McBride's been huge, man. Play McBride. He's doing what I thought he would do at the beginning of the year because I was advocating for him, and then I kind of faded when Zach Ertz looked healthy. But Ertz is out. McBride is the future, man. He is great.
Well,
So
but again, I don't get
play him.
excited. I mean, with tight end, five targets, 3 receptions last week, 5.2 points out of McBride. Again, Marquise Brown only 6.4 points. That's what I'm saying. I just don't trust the Cardinals either. But again, maybe they get a spice up now with quarterback now that Kyler's back.
It definitely will help. Don't forget,
Yeah.
last week they didn't have Dobbs. They got rid of Dobbs, their starter for the first
Clayton
8 weeks of
Tune
the
was
season.
starting. Was it
Played.
Clayton?
I don't even remember the name of the quarterback that played,
Clayton
but he
Tune.
just came in as a stopgap, basically. No wonder nobody did anything last.
Passer rating. You ready for this? Clayton Tune's passer rating. Guess
Wait,
what it
can I
was?
guess? Can I guess?
Yes.
0.0.
No, 20.83.
Oh.
20's bad. Like that's a real. Man, I don't know how bad. Like that, like 80's bad. Like I never mind. Like 20.
Right. Yeah, that's an F. And
Yeah,
I don't think you're going to be seeing Clayton Tune play anymore,
I'm a little
unless
sad.
Kyler gets hurt, which could definitely happen again. But good to see Kyler back. So that should help the whole
I'm not
offense.
really a Kyler fan anyway, but anyway, he blocked me years ago. That's a whole other story. 6.5 point favorite are Seattle here. Sam Howell, Geno Smith, and I'm looking at Brian Robinson, Kenneth Walker, McLaurin Metcalf. Obviously, you got to start, but again, you're still getting that Russian roulette, wide receiver roulette type thing going on there with the Seattle wide receiver.
Yeah, it's just too many targets, too many receivers to feed. And last week it was Jackson Smith and Jigba that got most of the volume. DK Metcalf is like just kind of fallen off the map. I don't know what's going on with that. For such a physical specimen that he is, and as big as he is, and as big a target as he is, you think he would get the ball much more than he has been. Very disappointing. But this should be a pretty good game for fantasy. Neither of these defenses are any good. And, we've seen Washington be productive with Sam Howell. He's been a pretty good quarterback. So I'm cool with starting whoever you want off of these teams and hoping for a nice bounce back, especially for Seattle after scoring only 3 points last week. One concern I do have is the backfield for Seattle, where Charbonnet is definitely getting more work at the expense of Kenneth Walker. But I think you still got to start him. I'm not sure I'm ready to start Charbonnet yet. I don't think he's hit that 15 touches and targets threshold I'd like to see. But he's close, man. He's been looking pretty good on the field there, and definitely getting some passing volume too. So that's
four
good.
attempts last week, 1 target, nothing crazy. But again, neither Walker didn't get a lot of attempts. He only had 9 attempts last week as well. So they didn't.
Yeah, they were getting blown out. They had to go to the air. They had to start throwing the ball and just completely abandon the ground game. That's not going to happen this week with the Commanders. So should be much better for both those guys. So,
all right, moving on to the next matchup here. This is a divisional game. Now, this is wild because the spread is so high, right? You got 16.5 Dallas, and I'm tempted to take the points here. I mean, 2-7 Giants, right? On the road versus the Cowboys, who are 5-3. Like I said, I would be tempted to take the 16.5 points simply because it is a divisional game. They're rivals. Maybe, just maybe, the entire team steps up and says, hey, we don't want to get blown out like Vegas is saying that we are. So maybe the spreads seem tempting here.
oh man, I mean, making any sort of bet on the Giants this year is just seems like a fool's errand. I mean, the Giants are getting blown out more than anybody. I'm surprised that coach is still that coach. I'm surprised they have not fired the coach. This is one of the worst teams I've ever seen put together.
It's
And
DeVito. Danny DeVito's starting. What's his name?
Danny DeVito, that's right.
Tommy DeVito. I call him Danny DeVito. Same.
Yeah.
Is he the son
I,
of
I
Danny?
I think they'd be better with Danny DeVito. They should just go with that. Yeah, I mean, there's no Daniel Jones. I think the only player you can play on the Giants side is Saquon. That's it, man. You can play Saquon. Don't bother with anybody else because it is just not worth it. Waller's out. This is just one of the worst NFL teams I think I've ever seen. And
Is
I
Tommy
think Dallas Cowboys will cover that spread. I'm
is,
pretty sure they will. They're hot right now.
is
Cowboys
Tommy
look good.
Tommy DeVito related to Danny DeVito? No.
No, I don't think so. But I don't know.
Tommy-
There's probably a lot of DeVitos. In New York City, there's a lot of DeVitos. So
Yeah, I'm looking at him. Yeah, I don't know, man, but that's sad that's their only option right now. They don't have another quarterback. It's Tommy DeVito.
they don't, and they're having all that buyer's remorse with paying Daniel Jones $45 million a year to be injured.
I told you
But the
that was
Cowboys, Dak Prescott looks great. Go ahead and start him. CeeDee Lamb, obviously start. Pollard is some guy that I'm going to start, but not enthusiastically. He hasn't been great, and so that's no good. I would not start either Gallup or Cooks. They're not. Neither one of those guys is getting enough volume. But who's the tight end there? Ferguson.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good, man. I think if you need a tight end, man, I think he's a good option this week, especially in this sort of an offense. And I guess Pollard's going to be good because they're probably going to go to the just ground game once they get up at halftime, and should be fine. But
Jim, did you
I'm
hear
just
about
not
that?
excited about it.
Did you hear about that blockbuster trade in fantasy that was going on? I posted it on my Instagram. This is going back a couple of days here, where the guy wanted to propose a trade. He wanted to get rid of. Here's a trade. Okay, listen to this. Guy in my league is offering me Pollard for CMC, and I get to bang his wife one time.
Oh God, yes, I did see that.
Did you hear about this? Yeah. So listen to this, okay? Guy in the league is 3-5 and desperate to turn his team around, and he needs more consistency with RB. He sent me a text saying he wants CMC, but there's not really anyone on his team that I want. I'm currently 7-1. This is a couple of days ago, or a week ago or something. He said I could bang his wife one time if I accept the trade and it goes through. Honestly, it's a pretty tempting since she's got huge boobs. I've always fantasized about her. Is it worth throwing my chances away to win the ship out the window for a chance to bang his wife? So would you trade CMC for? I mean, I'm not gonna. You're a married man, but I'm just. Would you?
I gotta say, man, is the wife on board with this? Has she even been?
Nobody knows.
And if she is on board with it, that's kind of a problem, right? Wouldn't you think that's kind of a problem for your
Yes.
marriage?
Yeah.
When you're like, yeah, I don't think it's real. But it's funny, right? That's pretty funny. Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's real, but it's funny, and it goes to bigger issues in your marriage if you're willing to do that. If you're willing to put your wife up like that, but
I think it was just supposed to go viral. I mean, I posted that; it got over 1 million views on my reels. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty funny though. But yeah, I mean, it just screams fake to me. So
Unbelievable. Anyway, in regards to this, Dallas should blow them out. Let's move on to the next game. The New York Jets, 1.5 point favorite at Las Vegas. I mean, the Jets are a decent team. I think Aaron Rodgers was hinting that he might come back in a couple weeks. I don't know if that's true.
He is no way is he going to be able to come back, man. He tore his Achilles.
But he wants to come
no
back.
way he's coming back this season at all.
There was talk about it, but I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, this really looks like a bad game for fantasy. The Jets offense is just abysmal, and even though you got to start Brees and you got to start Garrett Wilson, you're not expecting much out of either. Maybe if you get 10 points, you'll be happy. And on the Raiders side, geez, man, Devontae Adams is not getting any usage. Josh Jacobs has been real ineffective, although I guess he did get a touchdown last week. but his yards per carry is pretty low. The Raiders defense looked pretty good last week, and I would probably start the Raiders defense against that Jets offense for sure. But I can't really think of anybody else I really want to start on these teams. I want to just kind of minimize my exposure as much as possible. If you got better options, don't hesitate to put them in place of anybody from these teams. So
Yeah, just rest assured that wide receivers do have tougher matchups on. Not rest assured, I should say. Be careful for the Raiders. They tougher matchup, but running back, good situation going on paper. Brees Hall, Jacobs, both on paper look really good as well. So yeah, you obviously got to start them, but just know
yeah, I'm going to play him anyway. Yeah. So.
just let you know the matchup is favorable here. Another matchup here, I would not count Denver out. Remember what they did to the Chiefs, eh? They pulled it out. So we got Buffalo. This is the Monday nighter, I believe. Buffalo
Monday night game,
favorite at home versus Denver here. And again, Josh Allen, he's been good this year, just not sensational, not like he's not wowing me, not blowing me away. 5-4 versus 3-5 Broncos. Prime time, I like Javonte Williams. You got to start him if you got him. Sutton's seems to be the most consistent out of the wide receiver core there. Diggs, James Cook, all your starters, I think, at this point have to start here.
Yeah, I wouldn't start. I would not start Cooks. You've got Leonard Fournette that is entering the team, was probably going to play this week. So you got some sort of a three-way split in that backfield. I wouldn't even bother with that.
Yeah.
But I think the Buffalo is going to destroy Denver after they lost that close one to Cincinnati last week. They're frustrated. They're back at home. And Josh Allen has been great for fantasy this year. He's been an outstanding quarterback. He has the rushing yards. He gets those rushing touchdowns. He's been awesome on all the teams that I have him. So, go with that. But issues with like Gabe Davis and who's the other wide receiver, Khalil Shakur. I would not start those guys. It's the situation where Diggs is getting over a 30% target share. That means every other receiver in that offense is going to be horribly inconsistent. Gabe Davis could be good, or he could get you nothing. Last week he got you nothing. It could be another nothing game for him this week, but I doubt it. I think Buffalo will score enough points that he'll get some action. But
I just had a mental lapse there. When I said that Josh Allen didn't wow me, I was talking about reality for some reason. I always talk about fantasy.
Oh, yeah. His actual 5-4 record is not that great, but he's been great.
Yeah, for fantasy, yeah, but just from a reality standpoint, it's just like he's not wowing us. He's not he's not dominating the games that we thought. Like I said, 24-18 last week to the Bengals. The week before, barely beat the Bucs 24-18. They lost 24-18, then they won the week before 24-18. They lost to the Patriots, 29-25. That's what I mean. Again, he just doesn't look like they don't look as dominating in certain games. Like they should be crushing certain teams.
Yeah, they don't look as dominant as they have been. Yeah,
like the Giants,
prior years.
Week 6, they beat them 14-9. The Giants. Again, the Buffalo Bills. You would think that they put up more points. That's what I was trying to say, basically.
Oh, okay, yeah. In that case, you're correct. And yeah, losing a game to New England, that's embarrassing, man. That shouldn't be happening.
Barely beating the Giants,
but he's such a great player for fantasy. He's so good and absolutely worth that early draft pick if you got him. So anyway, I expect Buffalo to take care of business and cover the spread. They're favored by 7.5. And the over-under is pretty good for points. So I think it's going to be a good game overall for fantasy players. So.
All right, Jim. Well, thanks for coming on, man. There you go. Week 10 is here. Those are your starts and sits. Go start the right people. Drop some questions below. If you have them, head on over to manscaped.com. Use code ShowerLine20. Treat yourself to anything on the site. Save 20%. ShowerLine20. Manscaped.com. Jim, anything else you want to say?
Good luck in Week 10, everybody.
All right, guys. We're out. Subscribe. Drop your questions below.